Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Go Comedy. It's not time, but let's just say, please welcome your host, Amy O'Brien.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Let's Just Say, Go Comedy's monthly storytelling show. How's everyone feeling tonight? Good? Nice. Thank you so much for coming out in the dark and the cold to spend your evening with us. We have a great lineup of storytellers for you tonight. Just by show of hands, how many people here have been to a storytelling night before? Oh, so a lot of new-timers, just the people performing have been to one. So the format is very simple. In a moment, people are going to come up one by one. They're going to tell you a true story from their life. It can be about anything. It can be funny, serious, heartfelt, all of the above. The only requirement was that it's inspired by the theme Unbelievable, as you just heard from that wonderful 90s hit. And that's a very broad theme, and that's on purpose. Our show last month was a ghost story show. So to get on the lineup, you had to have seen a ghost, which is a very small amount of people. And so I wanted to really open it up, and we do have a very wide range of stories tonight. There is just one stipulation, one rule. We generally try to keep stories around 7 minutes. I don't have it with me, but I have the world's tiniest harmonica that I will play when storytellers hit that mark, which just means to wrap it up as soon as possible. Okay, so let's get some people up here that aren't me. Our first storyteller, she is a member of the Go Comedy resident company Understudies. She also hosts the podcast Spooky, Sexy, Scary, where they talk about horror movies and determine whether they are spooky, sexy, or scary. Please welcome Patty Gould.
This story is spooky, sexy, and scary. So, 50% of marriages fail. So it comes to no surprise to anyone that my parents are divorced. They met in 1987. They started dating, and after multiple failed proposals, my mom said yes, after she found out she was pregnant with my sister, Kara. So in 1989, they had Kara and got married. In 91, they had me, and in 1994, they had my sister, Sam. But we weren't the only children. We were the second batch. My parents both had previous children from previous relationships. They didn't just find them. My dad had my sister Christina and my brother Tommy, and my mom had my brother Christopher. I always thought it was funny that they both had Chris's. It's cute. So, imagine being in your early 30s and having 6 children, and the stress of that, and having a house and financial problems, and just life happening. Also, side note, I stole that bit from Stephen Crane. Growing up, whenever someone found out I had 6 siblings, they would always be like, "Wow, are you Catholic?" And no, my dad just doesn't know how to pull out. So, they were stressed out, life was always a little bit stressful, and in 2004, they sat us all down and told us that they were getting a divorce. I don't ever really remember being like stressed or sad about the divorce, it just like, was fine. My dad didn't move out. He stayed until around 2006, I believe. And there was a lot of fighting, and it was really weird, and I don't know, it was just life. Like my friends' parents used to say kind of shitty things. They'd be like, "Oh, Dad's still there?" I'd be like, "Yeah." "You guys aren't divorced?" It was just life. And then my dad eventually did move out, but he would always come around. I never had like weekends at my dad's house. He just showed up when he wanted to show up. Sometimes my parents would even go on dates. They still loved each other, they just couldn't stand each other. And that's love, right? So around, I'd say 2009, they started dating just each other again. And my parents love really hard, but they fight even harder. They would be together for a couple months and things would be fine and like, whatever. They'd love each other. And then out of nowhere, my mom would come home and be like, your dad's such an asshole. Like, I know. And my dad would call me and be like, oh, your mom's the worst. I'd be like, I know. It was like a constant state of divorce forever. Like, this was how my teenage years were. And it wasn't until my early 20s that I realized how fucked up I was. Like, I'm fine now. Anyway, so they were on and off again, and then in 2013, I got married. And the day before my wedding, my dad called me, and he said, Patty Ann. I said, what? He said, do not sit me next to your mother, she is a bitch. Then my mom called me and said, do not even invite your dad. I did invite my dad. And they did sit next to each other, and it was a great time. They were there, they put their differences aside, they were like the loving couple that they were sometimes, and it was great. I had a great wedding. And then in 2016, when I got divorced, my parents were there together, supporting me, and made me feel okay, because after all, they had gone through this. Well, after my divorce, after my marriage failed, my parents' divorce got stronger, I don't know how to put it. Their relationship grew, and it was beautiful. And I got to see my parents mature, and I got to see their love bloom. It was like what every child wants their parents' relationship to be, like before they were born. It was great. And about 8 months ago, my dad told me that he was moving back in with my mom. What? Crazy. He also said that he was thinking about marrying my mom. What? Imagine being my mom, having 2 marriages with the same person. And then, around 6 months ago, my dad had a heart attack. And it was devastating and painful and shook my family to our core. My brother, who lives in Hawaii, was going to fly home that night, but my mom was like, chill out, Kathy's in the house, I got this. So when I finally got to visit my dad, my mom was like in full ex-wife mode. She was like, by that I mean like an actual wife. She was taking care of my dad. Guys, she was so awesome. My dad was so cranky. He's always so cranky, but like he just had a heart attack. He was like yelling. He was like, I don't want the turkey from the food court. Like, Dad, that's all you get now. But it was great. I got to see in that moment true love. Messy, gross, disgusting, fucked up love. And I want that. Like, I don't want their relationship at all. But I want true love, you know? They're still gonna get married. My dad's fine, by the way. He's right there. They're still getting married. And my mom assured us that none of us are invited. And I just have to say, Dad, you fucked me up. I better get an invite to that goddamn wedding. Thank you.
Keep going for Patty, that was awesome. Our next storyteller is a stand-up comedian. He's appeared on The Troy Detroiters on Comedy Central, and also Grace and Frankie on Netflix. Please welcome Mike Ishak.
All right, I got a story I don't want to tell. I really do. It's about edibles. I'm a United States Marine. I have been trained to handle some shit. Fuck edibles. I hate edibles. And I got a horrible edible story for you guys. And it starts with prostitution. Now, I'm not the type of guy that wants to get prostitutes. I like the hunt. I like it when a girl actually likes me, and then we're having sex. That's just how it's supposed to fucking work. That's how I'm wired. Never had an inkling to get a prostitute, but then I ended up getting one accidentally. And you're probably wondering, oh, accidentally, how did that happen? It's really easy. Step one, go to Bangkok. Step two, have a stiff neck. Step three, see a masseuse, and then there's an offering. It's just how it works. I always heard the cliche. I was like, oh, but no, it actually happened. And you know, I was vacationing and I thought to myself, I'm like, this is not something I normally do, but hey man, when in Rome, why not? Threw her some bots, she went to work, and my penis just wasn't having it. Just wasn't having it. He got smaller and he got smaller, and then he went inverted and turned into a vagina. It's like my dick wasn't having it, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'll do it, but my dick's like, no. Me, I just want sex, he wants a relationship. Like, we're growing apart, you know? Like now, the older I get, I'm starting to realize that my dick is becoming a better person than me. You know? So after that situation, I really, I'm a problem solver, so I really started thinking, what? Why did he not? That's not supposed to happen. And then, whatever. And then I had this dumb idea 2 months later after a breakup with a girl that I wasn't going to date any more women for 3 months. I was going to stay celibate and not masturbate. Big fucking mistake. Big mistake. I don't know, but by week 2, I became a perv. I'd see women eating chicken and be like, oh. You know what I mean? It's just it's the dumbest thing. And then I only lasted 2 months, and then I snapped. Something in me snapped. And it was like, you need to get laid right now. And my brain, actually my dick, told me, we're getting hookers. And I was like, okay. And now the problem solving thing started kicking in, where I was like, maybe this time it'll work. And I know how I'll make it work. Maybe if I get 2 prostitutes. For sure he's gonna be in for it. Not only that, my buddy in Dearborn gave me half a Viagra pill and it was sitting in my, so I was like, you know what, take that too as insurance. Went online, found these really 2 cute girls. One was a white girl, blonde, the other one's a white girl, brunette. They're like, yeah, we'll both come over. I'm like, that's great. So they knock on the door, and I'm an idiot, man. We're all from fucking Detroit, and I'm like, I made a mistake opening the door without looking through the people. And these girls knew exactly what they were doing. As soon as I opened the door, they just walked right in. And they were in my apartment now. And I was like, oh shit. And this is the worst part. I ordered 2 white girls. One was Chinese. The other one I think was a man. Had a really messed up, overly plastic surgery face, but she still had the forehead of an angry father. The forehead was so man, wide shoulders, no hips, big feet, hairy knuckles. I'm like, nah, this is not gonna work. I'm like, you ladies gotta go. And then the Chinese one was like, why? I'm like, because you guys don't look like anything in your pictures. And she's like, well, we don't want to put our actual pictures on because we want to protect our identity. And I was like, yeah, but you're Chinese. And then I couldn't say anything to them. Because he was big, you know? I mean, she was big. They were big. They were big, and I was worried. And I was like, no, you guys got to get out of here. So I opened the door, and I went to go push him out. And when I opened the door, I saw 2 big Latino guys with crowbars. And I pushed the girls right into them, and I went to go slam the door, and I made the mistake of buying this really cheap IKEA welcome mat. because it just keeps sliding around. It doesn't grip the fucking carpet. So I went to close the door. It fucking got in there, and I couldn't close the door all the way. And one of the crowbars got in, and now this guy's fucking like trying to crowbar my door open because these guys are gonna come in, beat the shit out of me, and rob me for the money that I'm supposed to fucking pay them. Thank God I go to LA Fitness, man, because those squats kicked in, man. I dug into the fucking carpet. I was like holding the door. I was really proud of myself. 2 fucking big ass fucking guys couldn't even get in, man. I was like, fuck yeah. So I'm like holding the fucking door, and one guy's using the crowbar, the other guy's fucking just trying to bash the door open. And I'm fucking holding for dear life. Next thing you know, I had this idea. I'm like, if I time it just right, and I move the door open as that guy's about to hit it, he'll trip up and I can kick the rug out. Did it. Boom. Kick the rug out. 2 crowbars. Now both of them are prying at my door. And every piece of paint is crackling, wood is splitting. And I live in an apartment complex in LA with a bunch of Korean people, and the only thing that came to my mind was, I need to rectify the situation quietly. Really, really quietly. So I did everything in my power not to scream. But then it got to a point where these guys were about to get in, and I screamed, police! And they were like, book it, book it. They ran down the hallway. I opened the door, I looked down the hallway, these fucking idiots are in front of the goddamn elevator like this. I have the slowest elevator in the fucking world. I just wanted him out. So I was like, hey, Holmes, you gotta go that way. The stairs are right there. And he goes, thanks, Holmes, and they left. Now you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with edibles? So, 2 weeks goes by. Does anybody know who Joey Diaz is?
Yeah.
He's a comedian, he's got a podcast, talks with a really deep voice, calls everybody cocksucker, pussy. And on the podcast, he motivated me to take edibles, because he's all taking, oh, I do edibles every day, blah, blah, blah. If you ain't high by 12 p.m., fuck you. So I went to the dispensary, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like Joey Diaz, I'm gonna get me an edible. And the guy behind the counter was super stoner. And he was like, hey man, we're like completely out of edibles except for these anti-May Italian crackers, man, if you want them. And I was like, hell yeah, man, I'll take them. He's like, dude, I gotta warn you, man, they're really strong. And I'm like, how strong? He's like, well, when you go home, take one of the crackers, break it in half, and then break the half in half, and then break that half in half, and then eat that, and then wait 1 hour. See how you feel before you take another half. And I was like, I'm a United States Marine. This sounds fucking stupid. I can handle just about anything. And then all of a sudden, he's like, nah, dude, I'm telling you, man, you really should listen to me. I'd be very careful with these edibles. And I should have listened to him. Because you know what kind of a stoner this guy was? This guy had a weed vaporizer on the lanyard. Okay? And the whole time he was warning me, every syllable he would take a hit. And I didn't listen to that guy. So I went home, made a 10-ounce freaking steak, mashed potatoes, salad, turned on Netflix, and the next thing I know, those crackers look really cute next to that big ass steak, right? So I ate both of them. And then I started tripping. And then I left my body. And I met this being that I can only call the Mosquito Queen. And then I came back to my living room, and Ben Franklin sang to me. And then Joey Diaz came in and was like, yo, fucking pussy, cocksucker, you can't handle edibles. And then cut to 2 hours later, every piece of my furniture in my apartment is butted up against my door. All the lights in my apartment are off, and I'm in the corner with a steak knife shivering because I think every person walking down the hallway are those two guys with crowbars. So the moral of the story is fuck edibles. Thank you guys.
Keep it going for Mikey Check, everyone. Wide range of stories, what did I tell you? Our next storyteller is a Go Comedy student. He is an IT analyst, and he's a former U of M cheerleader. Please welcome Chris Fraga.
Thank you, Amy.
to about 7th grade, 2004-ish, just to give you kind of how old I am. Back at that time, I was in gymnastics. Both me and my sister were in gymnastics, and so basically our lives would involve, after school, my dad would take us from school to practice, and on the way we would do homework, and then we would practice for like 3 hours, and then after that we would come back with like a little car light on, do more homework, and then, you know, eat, go to bed, and then get up and do the next day. And that was like 5 days a week. So that was my schedule for when I was a kid. But this one particular day was pretty unbelievable. My dad had dropped me off because it was just only I had practice, my sister didn't. And dropped me off, regular day of practice. You know, I'm in the 7th grade, so I'm, you know, like what, 10, 12 years old. And, you know, start warming up, doing everything that I need to do to get on the high bar, which is just that one singular bar that's really high up, not the two, just the one. And I don't know if you've ever watched gymnastics in like the Olympics or anything, but you put like straps of leather around your hands for grip. So not only do you use chalk, you use these straps of leather for extra grip on the bar. Well, I had forgotten mine that particular day. So I go to the used bin that we had and pick out a couple of those, put those on and hop on and start doing some practice stuff. Then I get up and I'm getting ready to do a full routine. And to kind of scene paint a little bit for you, so we've got the high bar up here, and there's a platform like right about here where the coach can kind of stand and he can help you, you know, with whatever move that you're doing. So I get up on the bar, swing, get up. So I'm like here, the bar is right at my waist, and I'm getting ready to spin around the bar. Now, physics-wise, if those two pieces of, if the leather ever touches, words are hard. If they ever touch around that bar, they're not moving. You are locked in right there. So ideally, you have the right size. I, of course, did. So as I'm going around the bar, my right hand locks up. And as I'm going around the bar, my wrist is stuck here, but the rest of my body is just going. So if you can imagine a wet noodle around a fork, that's what my arm looked like. So I'm here, right? Except, you know, a little worse. And I don't even know what's happening. I'm in pure shock. I'm just like, no pain or anything, just, I don't know what's going on. My coach is yanking me over the bar, trying to undo the circle that I had already put myself in. And then once I had gotten that done, we still couldn't get my hand off the bar. It was locked in. Basically, they had to take a knife and cut that leather off in order to get it off. So they look at it, arms, they're like, it's broken, it's all kind of bad, you need to go to the hospital. And so my coach calls my dad. So now we're going to jump back a few hours. My dad goes home. He gets a call. It's my mom. My mom says, hey, can you come pick me up? My dad goes, yeah, where are you? Oh, I'm in Flint. And where I'm from Lake Orion, so that's like a decent, like at least an hour drive up 75. And this, of course, is around rush hour, about 5 o'clock, all the way up in Flint. And it's like, what's wrong? Oh, nothing, just blew out 3 tires in the car as I was leaving work. What had happened was, on I-75, there was something in the highway, and, I mean, multiple people were running over this thing. And there was just a line of cars, I guess, with people who had gotten flat tires from running over this thing, and my mom happened to get 3 of them. So my dad's like, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can. So he drives from my parents' place all the way up into Flint, and as soon as he gets there, walks out of the vehicle, he gets another call. It's my coach. My coach says, "Hey, your son just broke his arm." So, my dad's just like, I have no idea what to do. I've got my wife who's got 3 flat tires that I need to, we need to take care of this. But I also need to get all the way back down to Rochester Hills in order to get my son who just broke his arm. So my dad ends up calling a tow truck, and luckily my dad works for AAA, and he just goes, "Take it to the shop, I know the people there, they'll take care of it." So they took everything out of the car, left the car locked on I-75, drove all the way down, and they're like, "We can't make it. Coach, can you take him to the hospital?" So they meet me at the hospital. My coach takes me to the hospital, which the splint that they put me on was hilarious because the only block of wood that they could find was about that long. So I've got this piece of wood sticking out of the back, right here. They do x-rays, they say, "Yep, your arm's broken, it's a little too late to see a specialist right now, so just, tomorrow you'll go see a specialist." So the next day we go to see the specialist. They take another x-ray, and he's looking at the x-ray and he's going, let me see your arm. Apparently what had happened was not only did it break, but the bone actually bent before it snapped. So now they have to bend it back into place so that way it grows properly, because like I said, I'm in 7th grade, I'm still growing. So they schedule an appointment that day, they take me into the hospital, and they bring me into a room, and they put me on some sort of drugs. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I don't actually remember this next part. What the guy did was he took my arm, he put it on his knee, right here, and he pushed on my wrist and my elbow until it was straight. Now, like I said, I don't remember any of this. The only reason I know this happened is because my mom begged that she could stay to make sure that I was okay. They saw my dad, who was like a big guy, and they said, "You have to wait down the hall because, I don't want you stopping us from doing this." So, in terms of unbelievable, that day was unbelievable, but I think it made our entire family go stronger, because if we can get through that, we can get through anything. Thank you.
Keep it going for Kristen, everyone. Our next storyteller is a longtime Go Comedy regular. If you've sat at the bar at any point in the last few years, you probably sat next to or near him. Please welcome Robert Alter.
Okay, so when I was about 17, I had never had a dog before, and I was about to get my first dog. So a teacher of mine in high school, we had found out she was giving away her dog. She had white carpet, and she kept her in a cage in the basement, and they were newlyweds. I need to lean. When we get to the house, my mom and I go to the house in Romulus. And when we get there, we see a large dog in the window. And we said, "Oh, that must be the mom." When we get inside and we say, "Where's the puppy?" "This is the puppy." Okay. So, she was about 5 months old, and they get big really fast. So, so we take her home, and she's full of energy. And for a while, we have to keep her in a cage, not in the basement, but just on the ground floor. And about 8 years go by, and it's the best 8 years of my life, and she passes. And So, about 4 years later, well, she lived for 8 years. We got her in about sometime in February 1st, 2012, and she lived to sometime in no, we got her in 2004, and she lived to 2012, so around 8 years. So about 4 more years go by. In 2016, my sister calls us and she says some friends of hers have decided to be in custody. So we're like, oh, great. So we, it's in West Bloomfield, so we go all the way to West Bloomfield and we go to this house. It's a really nice house. The people before the people who had her, she like went from like place to place. She was like in a dorm because the person wasn't ready for a dog. So we get there and we ask what the name is. They say Dakota. That's the name of my other dog. It's just like, what are the chances that we get 2 dogs that are both named Dakota, that are both around the same age? We get her home. She's a lot less well-tempered than the first dog. So we have her for about like 2 months maybe. We have to give her away because she's a little too much for us. I still visit her sometimes, and that's about it. That's my story.
Our next storyteller is a student here at Go Comedy. Please welcome Josh Steiner.
All right, so I drive for a lot of rideshare, Lyft, Uber, the classics. I drive a lot of good, normal people around. We're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about some guy, I picked up on 94 by like the Keiju area. Picked him up, normal kind of interaction, like, hey, I'm your driver, hey, I'm your passenger, cool. Where are we headed to? So we get past the basic intro, the pleasantries, and he opens up with a standard question still. What's your craziest story that you've ever had on the road, or what's a weird passenger you've had? So I tell him my go-to story at that time, which was about this older woman I had picked up, and she was kind of like too loose, like she was kind of like relaxed on some pills, which is fine because like she's from what I understood, it seemed like she was going in for like a medical procedure somewhere. But yeah, she was hard to understand. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like you're paying me, so I'm cool. Let's go. Yeah, we're driving, and she like notices she's in the front with me. She notices I have this tube of peanuts with me that day, and like she grabs them, and she's just like, "This is salted." And like the cap comes off, and she's just down at them, and I'm like, "Yeah, they're unsalted. You can have more, I guess." And like she's chomping those down. She's feeling pretty good, I guess, but not good enough because she's like, we gotta get more food. Like, let's go to that Taco Bell. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go up, we go through the drive-thru, and we get up to the speaker, roll the window down. She's in the front with me, so she just shouts across from me like, "I got $2, but I want the nachos." And the speaker lady is like, there's a weird awkward silence because the speaker lady knows the nachos are like $3.99, and she's like, "We can't do that. They're $3.99. "Yeah, but I got $2 and I want the nachos." And I'm just sitting here like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Because they just go back and forth, like the lady I'm driving with is like trying to trick this fast food employee, make him memorize. And she's just like, $2, no, you gotta have 4. So this back and forth, back and forth. she settles for a hard shell taco, something she can actually afford with her $2. We get up to the window, and again, like, she hands them, as she's handing like their money to me, she's just like, "You gonna give me something to drink or what?" And like me and the drive-thru person just like lock eyes, and I'm just like, I don't know who this is. I'm just a driver. I don't know what to do. And she just offers free water. It's like, yeah, we'll take that. Please get us the stuff so we can get out of here. And then yeah, I take her to her medical appointment, and I never see her again. I tell that story to this guy, and he's just kind of sitting in my backseat, and he says, "Well, what's your craziest like sexual story?" And I'm just like, okay, well, he wants like a more raunchy story, I guess, and it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I drive for like Lyft and Uber, like I'm not like a pimp up here, like people aren't throwing themselves on me, like I'm just trying to take people from A to B, dude. And he's like, "So what if I offered to suck your dick?" And I'm just like, I mean, I have this really terrible, probably too much so customer service mentality where I'm like, he's paying me, I have to take him there. I have to somewhat entertain him, like I can't just like slam on the brakes and like, "You gotta get out of my car, that's too much." So I'm just like, no, I'm not gay, that's fine, but, I'm just really not into that. And he's like, "Okay, well what if I offer you $20 and I'll suck your dick?" And I'm just like, I'm really not gay. Like you didn't have to go past the first part. Like the $20, that's not the switch from a gay. Like it's not $20, man. Like that's just, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and he's just for the rest of the ride, he's just working for it. He's like, "When's the last time you've seen some action?" Or da 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 da. And we go back and forth, have this exchange. Okay, well, he tells me that he's been in clubs and bathrooms and like. The stuff these guys are doing these days are just so much better than the girls you won't even believe it, And what if you actually end up liking how I suck your dick more than like the last girl who sucked your dick? And I'm like, I'm just gonna take that to the grave, never knowing, man. Like, I'll never know. I guess it'll be okay. I will be okay. Yeah, he just worked for it the entire ride for like 20 minutes, and we just. Cruise along. I mean, I think it's hilarious to this day in the car ride. I mean, I kept a somewhat lighthearted attitude about it, and we just pull up to Wayne State, wherever he was going in that area, and put the car in park, and he's like, "Okay, cool, thanks for taking me where I gotta go," and like just strolls out of my car like he wasn't trying to suck my dick for 20 minutes. It was one of the craziest things I've ever been through. But yeah, I guess I will never know what it's like to have him suck my dick. That's the story.
Thank you, Josh. Did he give you a rating after you dropped him off?
I don't know. I didn't even look.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Good? Yeah. Josh listing Taco Bell prices reminded me to tell you that we have $2 pumpkin ales and $2 Blake's Rainbow Seeker. Just an FYI, see Bree. You heard about her in my story earlier. But yeah, also, if you're sitting in the audience and you feel like you want to give this a try, you absolutely can. Let's just say it's a monthly show. The December show is on the 27th, and the theme is change. So if that inspires anyone in the audience, you can go ahead and talk to me after the show. You can also email, let's just say, at gocomedy.net, and I will do my best to get you up here. Real quick, I just want to let everyone know about one other show happening tomorrow. Go Comedy is in its 10th year now, and we just celebrated our 10th anniversary. And tomorrow is the opening night of our holiday sketch show, which is always one of the biggest shows of the year. This year it is called Grandma Got Run Over by the Queue Line. And it's running starting tomorrow and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all through the holiday season. I highly recommend checking it out. We have an amazing cast and amazing writers. So, if you're showing some relatives around, this is something you can take them to. Anyways, getting back to the storytellers, our next one is a performer. He also is the co-founder of a podcast network called Hearsay Studios. Please welcome J.R. Sturberg.
Hi guys. So my story takes place in 2013, right outside of Istanbul. So when you're hiking in Istanbul, something that you're told is that teenagers like to pull pranks on you and misdirect you by putting signs that say this way with an arrow. So my ex-wife and I started on this trail, and we're going down, and we see all these signs say this way, and we're following them because these teenagers are fucking good, and this looks like the right way the entire time. We're going. It's pretty much a straight line until we get to a fork in the road. And the fork has this way, just like it has down the entire straight trail. I figure, well, we'll go down this way. And it turns out that that way might not have been the right way. We walked for about 3 kilometers before we saw anything at all. There was nothing. The beginning of the trail was beautiful, there was rocks and formations. This is just a straight road to nowhere. And I got really nervous, because it was just me and my ex-wife. We only had like 1 bottle of water left, and honestly, I didn't want to die outside of Istanbul. Eventually, I saw a little hut, and I was like, oh great, maybe there's somebody in there. And there was. It was this old, dark, like, this man who was dressed in all black, and he was clearly in the sun all day, and I was like, maybe he can help, maybe he can show me where to go. So I asked him, I say, where do I go? And he just looks at me with like I'm talking in gibberish, because probably I was to him, because I was speaking English and I was in Turkey. So, one thing you get told when you're traveling is not to point. You're not supposed to point. You're not supposed to do this because it's rude. You're supposed to do this because it's less rude. Which this is less rude? I don't know. But I'm trying to describe with my hands, am I supposed to go this way or this way? And he just kind of looks at me, he tilts his head, and says, and I'm like, all right, well, that's a sign. That means something. I should go this way. And I did. My ex-wife and I, we were going up the mountain. We followed it. We kept on going until we got very high up the mountain. And then I just heard like a... What the fuck is this? This is I'm on a fucking mountain. Where the hell is this sound coming from? What the fuck? And then I hear, ah! And my instincts kicked in, and I ran over to where I heard the sound from. And it's like an 11-year-old girl on a 4-wheeler who had been coming up from the other side of the mountain, who had flipped over her 4-wheeler. And she was on her back, and like, I just had all this adrenaline in me. I was like, I now am Hulk, and I just pulled up the 4-wheeler and I threw it to the side. And I picked her up and I was like, all right, you go with my ex-wife and figure that out. I'm gonna be over here. And my ex-wife took her down to where that old guy was with the black outfit. And I'm there just trying to pick up the bike, trying to figure out what just happened, because honestly, it was like a huge fucking blur. I pick up the bike and I find a necklace and I put it in my pocket. And then I hear something else from behind me, and it's like a... What the hell is going on? I'm on a mountain. And I look over my shoulder, and there's a cowboy. There's a cowboy on a mountain in Turkey. Why is there a cowboy on a mountain in Turkey? I don't know. And he waves at me from on top of a horse. Like, hey dude, you up here on this mountain too? Yeah, I am. he's like, all right, can you hold my horse for me? And I hold his horse. He's like, that was my daughter. My daughter was in the ATV. I was like, oh, I have something of hers. Hold on. And I give it to him, and he's like, thank you so much. You know, you can come to my house for dinner tonight. He's being very kind to me. Once again, this is like John Wayne, but in Turkey. I still, in my head, cannot even synchronize what this looked like. And he went over, he picked up the ATV with basically one hand without any adrenaline, because this is like his everyday life. And he pulled it over the mountain. And he's like, so why are you up here? You shouldn't be up here. This isn't where the trail goes. And I was like, oh, that guy down there told me to go up here. He kept on doing this. And he's like, oh, don't listen to him. He's deaf and mute. And I was like, oh, all right. Which way do I go to get out of here? And he's like, go down the mountain, turn left, find this marker, and then take another left. And then, by the way, again, you can have dinner at my house. I'm like, all right, great. So after all the adrenaline had passed, my ex-wife and I started walking back down the mountain and stuff, and started walking down the trail, took a left, and I heard another sound. It was like a what the fuck is this now? Another thing. And it's that guy, all dressed in black, and he looks at me and he just goes, he's on a moped, he's just going like this on the back of the moped. And I'm like, wow, Turkey's really something. That's it, guys.
Turkey does sound like something. All right. Our next storyteller is a stand-up comedian. She's performed all across the country. Please welcome Allison Bobbitt.
Hi, everybody. So my story is kind of a bummer, but it takes place in 2010 when I worked at High End Fitness Club. I was a lifeguard and a swim instructor and coach there, and it was during the recession, so I really needed a job. I was working full time and going to school full time, and I'd been working there for 5 years, and I mean, it was fine. I didn't love it, but it was really hard to get another job at the time, so I just kind of stuck with it because I knew it wasn't forever. But in the summer of 2010, a member, a much older guy, he was 67 or something like that, one of the regulars started talking to me. And that wasn't common there because a lot of them were very rich and very shitty to everybody who worked there. So I was always nice to people who were nice to me because I typically had to eat shit all day long. I'd be like, yes, I'm sorry. The hot tub isn't fucking hot enough for you. I'll go in the back and pretend I'm doing something for 10 minutes and then I'll be like, is that better? And then they're like, yeah, totally. And I'm like, you. All these people fucking suck. So this guy started talking to me, and he was very nice. He would talk. He was an Eastern European immigrant. He came over from Poland in the 60s with his wife, and he had a family. He had 2 daughters and a son. He had grandchildren. He was very nice. He had a couple of small businesses. He would ask me about school. He was always very, very nice to me. And I really appreciated that because it was nice to have someone just fucking be nice to me when I was at this shitty job. And one day he started giving me hugs when he would go to leave. And I thought it was just maybe a cultural thing, maybe that's just how he expressed himself, but he would talk to me almost every night when I worked there. And so he started to give me a hug, and I kind of obliged, and I was like, it's fine, he's nice. I need to be polite when I'm at work, so well, he can hug me, that's fine. And eventually that evolved into give me a little kiss on the cheek. And I let him do it because I was at work and I wanted to be polite. And then one night while I was getting ready to go fold a bin of towels, I was pushing it across the pool deck and he stopped me and he asked me for my phone number. And I didn't know what to say, because obviously I didn't want to give some guy who was old enough to be my dad my phone number. Also, what do we even have to talk about? I mean, he has to talk to me but I'm like, oh wow, that's like, it was mostly just me listening to him talk about shit. And so I just made up an excuse and I said, I'm sorry, like, we're not allowed to give out our phone numbers. You know, because I wanted to be polite. And he said, oh, you know, I won't tell. And I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. And he was like, okay. So then he went to leave and he gave me the hug, he gave me a kiss, and it felt a little awkward. But I figured maybe he'll just ask the one time. But he didn't. He kept asking every night for weeks. And I kept saying, I'm sorry, you know, I really don't want to get in trouble here. I really need this job. And eventually one day, he asked me if I had a piece of paper. So I grabbed a Post-it note out of the office and a pen, and I gave it to him. And about 10 minutes later, he came over to me, and it was his phone number. And he's like, I want you to call me sometime. We'll go out for coffee. And I just nodded. I was like, yeah, maybe. And because I wanted to be polite. And I didn't call. So he would kind of, you know, chat with me a little bit whenever he'd see me. He's like, how come you don't call me? And I'm like, I'm just really busy, like I have school and I have work, so I'm just really busy, sorry. And I started thinking, like, maybe if I just call him, he'll stop bothering me. Like maybe if I just talk to him a little bit, like I'll keep the conversation short, it won't be a big deal, and he won't bother me about it anymore. It'll just be like a little thing that I have to do. But maybe he'll start leaving me alone. But I didn't call. But he kept coming up to me, giving me little pieces of paper with his phone number on it. And I kept blowing him off. And he's like, why don't you come get coffee with me after work one night? And I'm like, well, it's really late. It's like 11:30 when I get off work, so I have to go home. I lived in Detroit in a very tiny one-bedroom, studio apartment. Not confused. Very tiny. Like, when my dad helped me move into it, he goes, where's the rest of it? And I go, this is it. He goes, Jesus Christ, Allison. But it was like $300, so it was fine. 2010. So one night, it's 11:30, probably 11:45, and I'm walking out to my car, and we actually had to park in a satellite lot because the club was actually in a business park, and it had a smaller parking lot, so they didn't want the employees to park in the same lot and take up all the spaces. Those were garbage. And so I had to walk across the street in a very dark business park, and I'm getting ready to walk up the drive towards where the parking lot to cross the street. And a truck comes out from behind the building and pulls up right next to me. And I'm startled, but I'm not surprised because people almost always run me over when I'm there. And it's him. And he says, hey, are you going home now? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, why don't you come get a cup of coffee with me? And I said, no, I'm sorry, it's really late. I have to get up early tomorrow. And he's like, well, at least let me give you a ride to your car. And I said, no, that's okay, I'm fine. It's right there. And he's like, well, I just want to make sure you get to your car safely. And I said, no, I'm fine. And just real quick, just a little quick aside, if you see a girl in a dark and scary place and you offer her to give her a ride to her car and she says no, it's because you're what she's scared of. So just let it go. So I said, no, I don't want to ride. And he's like, well, at least let me make sure you get to your car okay. So he followed me in his truck slowly while I crossed the street and then into the parking lot. And now he knew what my car looked like and where it parked. And he said, are you sure you don't want to get that cup of coffee? And I said, no, I really have to get home. So I got in my car and he drove away and then I cried the whole way home. So the next day, I told my boss what was going on, and I was like, this is what happened, I'm really uncomfortable, I don't know what to do. And she's like, I'll take care of it. So she goes to the general manager and she tells him, this is what happened to her, we need to do something. And he was like, well, we can't really do anything, because, she didn't tell him no, she didn't, I wasn't firm enough, I guess. Because I was being polite, because it was my job. And, so he said, you need to tell him to leave you alone. And until you do that, we can't do anything. So now I had to be mean, and I didn't want to do that. So when he asked me again for my phone number and if I wanted to get coffee, I said, Look, I got in trouble because of that, so I'm sorry, but I really can't like socialize with you outside of work. And he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you into trouble. Do you want me to talk to them? And I'm like, no, I just want, what I wanted to scream in his face is, I want you to leave me the fuck alone because you're 40 years older than me. You're old enough to be my dad. You're gross. Keep your gross dick away from me. And what I actually said was, you know, sorry, I just don't want to get in trouble. So this kind of back and forth continues, and he waited for me in the lobby one night after I got off work, and I pretended I forgot something in my locker, and I left out the back. And my job never really did anything about it, and it made me really sad. And so, because if I quit my job, I couldn't afford to pay rent, I moved back in with my parents, and I quit my job because they wouldn't do anything about it, and it really sucked. But then this year, I watched Dr. Christine Blasey Ford testify against Brett Kavanaugh, saying that he raped her when she was in high school. And I watched people do the same shit to her and be like, not really believe her or not support her, not back her up. But then I saw this huge wave of women behind her who were like, we believe you and we support you. And for the first time in my life, I just really felt like, oh, I don't have to be polite anymore. If I don't want someone to bother me, I can say, don't fucking bother me. So fuck politeness, fuck all that shit. And I just feel free now.
Keep it going for Allison, everyone. And keep it going for yourselves. You've been a wonderful audience tonight. Thank you so much. We are at our final storyteller of the night. But don't forget, monthly show, December 27th, changes. Our final storyteller of the night is also a stand-up comedian. You can catch her at Trixie's Bar in Hamtramck at the Free Pizza Show, doing a set on November 29th. Please welcome Johanna Madranda.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Give it up for Amy, this is awesome. Keep it going for all our storytellers actually. Especially, I'm sorry about Allison, that was really awesome. I don't know if you're going to be rolling in the background, but fuck yes. I am also one of those women who doesn't shut the fuck up. And then you gave me a microphone, now it's just louder. I'm actually here to tell you guys about the 3 pivotal moments in my life that made me become a stand-up comic. The barn, the bowl cut, and the bacon. We're gonna start with the barn. I was born in the barn. I was born in a barn on an army base in northern Peru in 1990. My umbilical cord was wrapped around my head and I was born purple. I wasn't breathing. There was little to no surgical equipment around because we're in a fucking barn. And I survived. And my mother loves to tell that story. She loves to talk about how she could not believe that she heard my first breath and that I am here to tell that story and to hear from her. Fast forward a little bit to the bowl cut. When I was 5 years old, that same mother, who, let's back up again for a second. My mother is Penelope Cruz from Glow. No ifs or buts about that one. Fed her a little bit of water after midnight, she multiplied. Those are my aunts. These are the women that raised me. So when I was 5 years old, my mother said, I'm done doing your hair. She put a bowl on top of my head, and she cut around it. So from the ages of 5 to about maybe a week ago, I have no idea how to talk to men. So the bowl cut. And so when I was in 4th grade, I had my first growth spurt, and I had that disgusting haircut. Still, I always had short hair. And these little boys would be like, Johanna is so tall. Come and see what she can do. You're not going to believe how strong this girl is. And I would bend at the knees, and I would pick these little boys up, and I would throw them on my shoulder. And they were all like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. So that's point number 2. Can you see why I'm a fucking comic? My life is insane. Number 3, the bacon. I did once find love. I fell in love when I was 20 years old, when I was in college. And it was on and off for 7 years. 7 years. You ever want to see a good fight? Ask an Albanian man and a Peruvian woman to fall in love. Oh God, it's good. And one time, we had the fight that ended all the fights. I like to call it the straw that broke the plates. He was so mad at me for something that was so stupid that I don't even like to share that part of the story. And he shunned me for 3 hours, and I thought to myself, how can I fix this? How can I make a man happy? We don't have time for a blowjob. So I went into the kitchen and I made a gourmet breakfast. And I served him breakfast in bed. He took one look at the plate and he said, where the fuck's the bacon? That's where the theme plays in. Unbelievable. Can you believe this motherfucker? And you know what I did? I took my ass downstairs and I made the bacon. And when I tell this story, because I have told this story time and time again, I'm a waitress, I wait with a lot of younger women, and they come to me with they're seeking advice about men. And I say to them, I made the bacon, and then they say to me, but you don't look like the girl that would make the bacon. And I say, like the hooker with a heart of gold, I take right after my mother, remember everybody, Penelope Cruz and Blow, I say to them, well, a good 8-inch, uncut European dick will make you do some stupid shit. And then they look at me, and with the theme again, they say, we believe you. We believe you. So there it is, guys. The barn, the bowl cut, and the bacon. And with that, I just want to say, I took my first breath. I knew that I was strong. And I knew that heartbreak was an unbelievably solid foundation to birth creativity, to say whatever I want to fucking say, just like Allison. And most importantly, to prove people wrong. Thank you, everybody. I'm Johanna.
Bar is still open if you want to have another drink. We do ask that you exit the theater as quickly as possible because there's going to be a rehearsal on stage right after this. Thank you very much and have a good night.